Hey everyone, welcome to the Daily. Today is Thursday, July 25th. I'm Greg Lalas alongside Simon Borg, and we're still in the throes of the, I don't know what you'd say, getting to the final of the Gold Cup passion, if you will. I don't know. The United States national team goes on and beats Honduras 3-1. Landon, Donovan, the star in this one, 2 goals and an assist. Simon, what'd you think of the game?
Well, I thought Honduras were very inept in this one. Their defense was horrible, but the U.S. very good at taking advantage.
Oh, you are going to give some praise.
Very good at taking advantage. That first goal by the U.S., Landon, Donovan, and Eddie Johnson combining, sucking in a defender, Osman Chavez, who had a nightmare first half. Yes, Eddie Johnson with a lethal finish. And then the second goal, the left back, Juan Carlos Garcia for Honduras, just victimized by Alejandro Bedoya twice in the 2 goals that followed, but an excellent finish by Landon Donovan. That was a great finish on the second goal. You thought Honduras were going to get into it, but I wasn't convinced. Then U.S. scores right after and basically wipes them away. It was so easy for the U.S.
Everyone's talking now, of course, about Landon Donovan. He's back. He's obviously people saying, well, he deserves to be on the World Cup team. Is he better now than he was before?
I actually see him playing relaxed, without a lot of pressure. And he said it after the game, and I think you see it, you notice it. So in this moment, he's almost carefree because when he left the national team, he basically lost it all. So he has nothing to lose. He's playing with house money at this point, in a way, and I think that suits him.
And what about the hot-blooded German on the sideline, Jurgen Klinsmann, getting into it after a foul on DeMarcus Beasley, and he ends up being expelled by the referee, sent to the locker room.
Harsh.
Didn't deserve that, did he?
Did not deserve it. I mean, I don't think he stayed in his box. He just had one, he didn't do anything that crosses the line. And Walter Quesada, the referee, it's the 87th minute.
Of a 3-1 game.
Of a 3-1 game. You don't have to do that. Quesada, to me, guilty of protagonism.
Well, we learned afterward that whether Klinsmann is available for the final or not, we're going to have to wait on the CONCACAF disciplinary committee, which I think some of us weren't really sure existed at all, but it does, and they will make a decision whether Klinsmann can be on the sideline for the final. Now, U.S. opponents for the final, Panama.
Yep.
Big upset, maybe not really a big upset in this one. A 2-1 victory over Mexico in the semifinals. The first time Mexico have lost in the semi since 1991. Blas Perez with the first goal. It was Ramon Torres for the second goal. Mexico actually had a couple of chances in there. Marco Fabian looked very good, certainly late in the first half. They thought they might get that second one, but it didn't happen in the end.
It didn't happen. And Marco Fabian only had the moment of inspiration on the Mexico goal with that cross.
Yep.
But other than that, the U.S. have Landon Donovan making a difference. The Mexico had no one in this game. And Panama, stronger, faster, more committed, chasing balls down. And Alberto Quintero, he terrorized them on the left side. In the first game, they put him on the right, and he gave the left back from Mexico fits.
He reminds me a little bit of Marvin Chavez, actually, in his ability to go at defenders with that quick first step.
A little more skillful, I would say.
A little bit more. But Gabriel Torres, also a good player for Panama. He looked good. This is a very good Panama team. U.S. and Panama in the final of the Gold Cup on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The game is on Fox, so make sure you check that out. We'll have all the coverage on MLSsoccer.com as well. In MLS, it's not about what's going on the field, but off the field. Some stadium news, some big stadium news. Down in D.C., there has now been an agreement between the government and the club, D.C. United, to build a 20,000-seat stadium. This is a massive bit of news for the United.
And massive also because of the location, Greg. I mean, there were talks, if you remember, about the team maybe going to Maryland, Baltimore. They get to stay in D.C. proper and right a stone's throw away from where the Washington Nationals, the baseball team, plays. It's a beautiful part of the town. They say it's prime real estate. Now, there's still work to do. There's some land swaps and there's some negotiating that has to happen, but it would be a public-private partnership is what they're saying. And look, there's no team that's been on a longer quest to get a stadium than D.C. United. They finally do it. The new owners, credit to them. They just took over a year ago, and Jason Levine getting this deal done. D.C. United, I think people pinching themselves because this came out of nowhere.
You just pinched yourself.
I pinched myself.
Well, D.C. United, that's news for them. But also up in Detroit, there's some news about some stadium activity that's happening. A local developer, actually a developer out of Toronto, saying that he wants to build a stadium and bring an MLS club.
Yeah, Detroit, a city that's obviously declared for bankruptcy, anyone following the news. And this is an opportune time, I think, for them to receive this proposal. The report says $1 billion proposal proposal for mixed development, hotels, other real estate, and a stadium for an MLS team. No public funds involved. That's the big one here. You got to believe they have a shot.
And you got to believe that the passion of Detroit City FC, my very own Detroit City FC, certainly might have an influence in that one. So lots of stadium news. Make sure you check out MLSsoccer.com for everything that's going on today around that. Well, there was action on the field last night. 2 MLS clubs took on Premier League clubs in friendlies, and the MLSers came out on top, Simon.
Yeah, we start with Houston. 2-0 winners over Stoke City and Jeff Cameron's return to Houston. And the 2 goals for Houston scored by their British imports, Andrew Driver and Giles Barnes. Giles Barnes, got to feel good for him. He has a history of injury against Stoke, and he finally scored against them. And then in Portland, 1-0, El Trencito Valencia scoring for Portland. They took care of Norwich City, so an impressive double victory there for your MLS team.
You have to have the accent when you say El Trencito, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely need the accent there. A little later on MLSsoccer.com, make sure you check out a new edition of Extra Time Radio Podcast. We were joined by Bob Bradley, a former U.S. national team coach and now the manager for Egypt. A scintillating interview, actually talked about everything that's going on in Egypt. Talked a little bit about the competitiveness of the American player versus the players that he deals with in Egypt. Make sure you check that out. Go to MLSsoccer.com/extra time for that. And last thing, I think, Simon, I got to tell you about the jersey.
You have to, yeah. I mean, I wish I knew. I would have.
You would have worn a jersey?
Yeah.
What would you have worn?
I actually have a Lazio jersey, and just to stick it to Rome, I would have worn it. And it's blue.
That would have been classic if you'd worn your Lazio jersey, because of course the MLS All-Stars are taking on Roma next Wednesday, July 31st. I just thought I'd pull my jersey out a little bit and show you that,
shade of blue.
Hey, I could be an All-Star perhaps, no?
The shape. No.
Well, that's it for today's daily. Make sure you check out MLSsoccer.com for all of the news around MLS and the North American soccer scene.